Finishing up the new crane pillar installation, we torqued the bolts. We had gotten them quite close. Some of them might have been a tiny bit over torqued. We hadn't gone crazy, but we had a big pipe on it. So as we had the torque wrench on there, some of them moved a tiny bit and some of them didn't move, but I'm calling it good enough. I'm gonna revisit this after a few weeks of use if we are able to get it to run for an extended period of time. And now hopefully realized we were missing one of those clamps holding those platforms in place, and I can't really clamp metal on freshly painted surfaces, so we had glued some plastic pieces in place that might come to bite me in the ass later when they fall off, but that day I'll probably just tighten it. I'll probably secure them with a strap a little later on so they won't like slide off and fall off. Then the housing for the central lubing, realized we were missing one of those clamps also. My dad had made a new one out of some scrap metal earlier, and we needed to use both factory ones on this side because they were gonna mesh with the mount for the central lubing housing, so I'm just gonna skip the platform on the other side for now. So the central lubing quite easy, just getting the hose on there. We had to get one hose we had removed to be able to flip the housing out of the way also. Then the electrical connectors and then the lid for it. Then we needed to add a little bit of oil because it had started giving an alarm when we had the first test start, because it was filling the cylinders, I would guess, and lost a little from the tank. With the diesel heater having run for a little while, it started so nicely. Wanted to lube the bushing at the top of the turning motor, the housing at the bottom, before connecting the central lubing. So my dad was moving it back and forth and did a 180 degree swing on one side and then 180 degree swing to get back and lube both sides nice and good. Then reinstalled the central lubing. I had that Y connection that has been in a video a long time ago, just that it connects to both sides and might lube both sides, you know. Force started the central lubing, but the indicator pin on the block won't move, and the overflow, nothing comes out of that, so that got me a little worried. So I disconnected the central lubing point to see if something came out, doing a force cycle while giving the grapple some grease. Had to replace one of the grease fittings on there. Even with a brand new grease nozzle on the grease gun, it refused to grab. Had also seen that one of the rubber stops for the extension was pretty much all gone, so that was replaced. And there was a little like thin worm of grease that had come out of the grease hose, so connected that for now and might have to look at that better in the future and see what's up with it. The indicator pin is not moving. The oil level had gone down a little, so we filled a few liters more before going out. Then I checked on some of the what was hauled out of the forest, and we have misplaced a few pieces because we're doing both thick timber, big pieces, and a assortment called like narrow timber, small timber, and we need to sort it out. Here I took a bit of a shortcut after removing a branch that was stuck under the forwarder as my dad came out for after a little test run. Got my shoes full of snow, so we ended up going back for a break, and I had cleaned up all the grease fittings on the harvester head to grease that up before we start working with the machine in the next few days, hopefully. Couldn't access two grease points the way the harvester head was tilted, but We had also been able to buy a few things. Well, this one I haven't fully bought yet, but we will store it for now. And if I need to use it, it's a new saw motor for the harvester head. We oil filled it at least and put it on storage, and could buy a bunch of chains from a friend of my dad who used to have a forest machine and had some leftovers laying around. So, and a bunch of used chains. Some of them are very little meat left on them or metal left on the cutting teeth, so they're probably due for scrap metal. But so sorted them out and see if I will have them sent off to be sharpened, at least the ones that have some life left on them. Was a bunch of other bits and pieces, including a harvester head unit that I think is from an earlier model. I don't think it's anything that's used on my machine, and if someone could identify it from that quick one, please comment. If someone still has a machine that uses that harvester head units, contact me or write a comment. You can have it for free if you can confirm it's nothing that I could ever use. Some new buttons, a lot of O-rings and things. So I'm putting a box I will have to go through when I have a leak in the future. Probably annoy me that I spend time looking over it and not finding what I need.